As great a mathematician as Euler, that the smaller the ratio governing the generation of an interval has the monochord, the more pleasurable. Of necessity, the sound produced by sounding the interval as a chord. Euler says that. What's he know about music theory? Seems like back in those days the mathematicians had to deal with what Pythagoras was saying. So he's suggesting that notes, why is a small interval close together sounds good. It says here, with the exception of the lingering interest of mathematicians among those whom certain Pythagorean mystics flourished well into the 18th century, the old musica speculativa were largely given away to legitimate acoustical studies based on the joint development of classical physics and mathematical analysis, and to more or less professional discussions of stylistic elements, such as the treatises on keyboard and ornamentation of the 18th century. As we were saying, like, for example, consider, for example, the belief of as great a mathematician as Euler, that the smaller the ratio governing the generation of an interval, as on the monochord, the more pleasurable. Of necessity, the sound produced by sounding the interval as a chord. See Leonhard Euler conjecture sur la raison de quelle dissonance généralement est quoi dans la musique, 1764, in Opera Omania, Leipzig und Berlin. Page 508. Well, that's very specific. What's he know about music? He's a mathematician. It would eventually come about that no matter what the views of a particular writer concerning the relative merits of ancient or modern learning, the inherited ragbag of musical lore, and especially the myth of the music of the spheres. That's terrible. When did it become a myth? I thought there really was a music of the spheres. Would prove for him little more than a white elephant. Now it's become like a white elephant. In the third book of Gulliver's Travels, Swift's Laputans, whose perverted philosopher kings who have so little contact with the proverbial ground of reality, save for coercing its habits, are much given to Pythagoreanism. They're making a mockery of it now. Not only do regular polygons and musical instruments serve them for icons and fetishes, but they are made to enact a gross parody of the harmony of the heavens. This is in Gulliver's Travels, in which Gulliver serves as an unwilling heir or Scipio. Now he's unwillingly Scipio. And a quote, on the second morning about 11 o'clock, the king himself in person, attended by his nobility, courtiers, and officers, having prepared all their musical instruments, played on them for 3 hours without intermission, so that I was quite stunned with the noise. Neither could I possibly guess the meaning, since my tutor informed me. He said that the people of the island had their ears adapted to hear the music of the spheres, which always played at certain periods. So he's talking about the Swift's Laputans, in Gulliver's Travels. He's saying the people of the island had their ears adapted to hear the music of the spheres, so they could hear it, which always played at certain periods. People don't listen, dear. The people, the non-Laputans who are listening to this video aren't listening. So, and the court was now prepared to bear their part in whatever instrument they most excelled. This is not the same Swift, perhaps, whose distaste for the fashionable Italian opera of his day led him to pillory the text in rudely imitative settings of recitative and aria with the musical assistance of the Reverend John Hollander in a cantata. So he's making this kind of parody thing, even though he doesn't really like Italian opera. But he's either making fun of the music of the spheres or the Italian opera. The Italian opera, quote, an exotic and irrational entertainment, as Dr. Johnson called it, which has always been combated and always has prevailed. Is popular, though, was becoming a considerable bone of critical contention at the turn of the 18th century. And musical polemic began to turn on nationalistic as well as rationalistic grounds. Do we have that stuff going on now, nationalistic and rationalistic? What Swift, Addison, and Steele seemed quite agreed upon was that, whether sung in Italian or translated into English, the opera of Handel and others, modeled on Italian lines, had dealt a death blow to linguistically significant theater. Do you think that this stupid Italian operas, the white opera, was doing a significant death blow to heavyweight stuff like Shakespeare? Is Shakespeare smarter than Italian opera? Death blow to linguistically significant theater, according to Addison in The Spectator. Quote, the poetasters and fiddlers of the town had, quote, laid down an established rule, which is received as such to this day, quote, that nothing is capable of being well set to music that is not nonsense. Oh, God. You can't set something to music unless it's nonsense. Steele in 1720 proposed a lyric for Italian music. Here's a footnote. It says, Jonathan Swift, Gulliver's Travels. Now it says, seems to feel, this is some other guy, some analyst, Miss Nicholson, seems to feel that Swift's satire in Book 3, Chapter 2 of Gulliver is directed primarily against some of the Royal Society musico-mathematical studies, rather than, as seems more likely, against the whole mystique of Pythagoreanism in all its forms and the more universal follies which he felt made for its retention. So she's arguing here that he's attacking or making fun of the Royal Society, more so than Pythagoras. But gee, why did he attack Pythagoras? I don't know. He's attacking Italian opera, but why is he? What is he doing? Well, I don't know what he's doing. The answer is we don't know. So figure it out yourself. Which he claimed would give no manner of disturbance to the head. Now, Steele proposed a lyric for Italian music, which he claimed would give no manner of disturbance to the head, quote, "So, notwithstanding heretofore, straightforward by and by, now everlasting therefore, too low and eke too high. Then for almost and also why, not thus, one less so near, oh, for hereafter quite so nigh, but greatly ever here." And Addison goes on to add his charge of more general one. If the Italians have a genius for music above the English, do you think they do? They seem to do have some talent for music. Maybe all those harsh English and German words are rough on music. You need to be Italian. The English have a genius for other performances of a much higher nature, capable of giving the mind a much nobler entertainment. Music is certainly a very agreeable entertainment if it would take this entire possession of our ears, if it would make us capable of hearing sense, if it would exclude arts that have a much greater tendency to the refinement of human nature. And I must confess, I would allow it no better quarter than Plato has done, who banishes it out of his commonwealth. Why does he banish it? Did Plato banish music?
Not on me.
He's against barbarous keys, though, if it's in the wrong key. Plato says if it's the wrong scale, it has to get kicked out. At present, our notion of music are so very uncertain that we do not know what it is we like. Only in general we are transported with anything that is not English. Man, this is very anti-English. So it be of foreign growth, let it be Italian, French, and High Dutch. It is the same thing. In short, our English music is quite rooted out. Nothing yet planted in its stead. God, what happened to English?
Before it said that English is better than Italian music.
This is like the Brexit of English England, huh? Or did they Brexit? Or something happened. They're talking about the Brexit of the music of the spheres. So the people of the island could still hear, which always played at certain periods, could hear. The people of the island had their ears adopted to hear the music of the spheres. But if you listen to too much Italian opera, and Euler had said the notes' smaller ratios are more pleasurable. We were reading on page 381 of the Untuning of the Sky, discussing mathematics and Pythagoreanism and English music versus Italian music, etc., etc., etc.